Imagine a world united by shared ideals. Frédéric Souriau, a 19th century French artist, envisioned democratic republics as beacons of hope. In 1848, he captured this vision in 4 prints, depicting a grand procession of nations. They moved towards the Statue of Liberty, symbolizing enlightenment and rights. The shattered remnants of old regimes lie at their feet, a testament to revolution and freedom. Souriau's vision was a powerful message of hope amidst conflict. Europe in the 19th century was in flux. The French Revolution ignited dreams of self-determination. The Napoleonic Wars sowed the seeds of nationalism. Old empires crumbled and new nations struggled to be born. The Congress of Vienna tried to restore the old order, but nationalism was unstoppable. Industrialization transformed the social and economic landscape. A new middle class emerged, driving nationalist movements across Europe. The year 1789 marked a turning point in European history. The French Revolution reshaped the political landscape. The storming of the Bastille became a rallying cry for liberty and equality. The Declaration of the Rights of Man proclaimed fundamental rights for all. The tricolor flag replaced old symbols of monarchy. Despite internal struggles, the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity inspired Europe. The revolution's message of self-determination spread across the continent. Napoleon Bonaparte's rise marked a new chapter in the French Revolution. His conquests dismantled the old feudal order and spread national consciousness. The Napoleonic Code introduced equality before the law. Abolition of feudalism and serfdom weakened the old aristocratic order. Resistance to French domination fostered national sentiment. The Napoleonic Wars forged a sense of shared identity among conquered peoples. Napoleon's ambition inadvertently contributed to the spread of nationalist ideals. The Napoleonic Wars left a lasting legacy on Europe. The continent was reshaped and the old order weakened. National consciousness emerged, challenging traditional loyalties. Industrialization contributed to the growth of national sentiment. The middle class played a crucial role in disseminating nationalist ideas. Romantic literature and art fueled the flames of nationalism. The 19th century witnessed the birth of new nations and the reshaping of Europe. The 19th century dawned on a fragmented Europe. The Congress of Vienna tried to restore the old order, but nationalism was unstoppable. People identified more with shared language, culture, and history. The old order crumbled under the pressure of new ideas. Nationalist movements sought to create unified nation-states. The struggle for national unity was marked by conflict and sacrifice. The forces of nationalism reshaped the European map. The Industrial Revolution played a pivotal role in the rise of nationalism. A new industrial middle class emerged, challenging the aristocracy. Industrialization brought significant social and economic changes. New communication technologies spread nationalist ideas. The middle class emphasized education and rational thought. The Industrial Revolution transformed Europe's social and political fabric. Nationalist movements grew in fertile ground created by industrialization. Liberal nationalism championed individual liberty and national self-determination. It resonated with the rising middle class seeking political power. However, it often excluded large segments of the population. The pursuit of national unity sometimes suppressed minority cultures. Despite its limitations, liberal nationalism shaped 19th century Europe. It provided a framework for nation states and democratic ideals. The legacy of liberal nationalism continues to be felt today. The Congress of Vienna, restoring order, sowing discord. After Napoleon's defeat, Europe convened in Vienna in 1815 to restore stability. Led by Metternich, the Congress aimed to dismantle Napoleon's empire and reinstate monarchies. The principle was legitimacy, restoring pre-revolutionary dynasties. This conservative approach sought to erase revolutionary gains. The Congress established the Concert of Europe, a period of relative peace. The great powers agreed to maintain balance and suppress revolutions. However, underlying tensions remained, sowing seeds of future conflict. Nationalism and liberalism continued to grow beneath the surface. The redrawing of borders created new tensions and resentment. Suppression of nationalist and liberal aspirations fueled discontent. The Congress of Vienna laid the groundwork for future revolutions and wars. The attempt to restore the old order proved unsustainable. The decisions made in Vienna had far-reaching consequences for Europe. The restored monarchies faced growing opposition from nationalist and liberal movements. The Concert of Europe, while initially successful, couldn't contain the forces of change. The 19th century, shaped by Vienna, was a time of both stability and upheaval. The Metternich system and the suppression of liberalism. Clemens von Metternich, the Austrian statesman, became the architect of a new conservative order in Europe. The Metternich system aimed to suppress liberal and nationalist movements through censorship and repression. Metternich saw liberalism and nationalism as threats to the established order. He believed these ideologies would lead to revolution and chaos. His system aimed to maintain the status quo and preserve traditional power. Censorship and surveillance were key to controlling information and ideas. Secret police monitored suspected liberals, and strict censorship laws suppressed dissent. Universities were monitored, and liberal professors were often dismissed. The goal was to create an intellectual climate hostile to challenges to the order. International cooperation was key to the Metternich system. The great powers worked together to suppress liberal and nationalist sentiment. The Concert of Europe provided a framework for this cooperation. The great powers intervened to crush liberal uprisings, maintaining the conservative order. Despite initial success, the Metternich system ultimately proved unsustainable. Liberalism and nationalism, driven by social and economic changes, could not be permanently suppressed. The revolutions of 1830 and 1848 showed the growing strength of these movements. The Metternich system ultimately failed to stem the tide of change sweeping across Europe. Section 3. Cracks in the Facade. The rise of secret societies and the seeds of revolution. Despite Metternich's efforts, revolution simmered beneath European society. Secret societies of students, intellectuals, and the middle class proliferated. These groups exchanged revolutionary ideas and planned uprisings. The Carbonari, originating in Italy, spread across Europe. Mazzini's Young Italy promoted national unification and independence. Secret societies reflected dissatisfaction with the conservative order. They nurtured the seeds of revolution. leading to uprisings in 1830 and 1848. Mazzini and the Young Europe movement. Giuseppe Mazzini, an Italian patriot, led nationalist movements across Europe. Born in Genoa in 1807, he dedicated his life to Italian unification. Exiled for his activities, he founded the Young Italy movement in 1831. His rhetoric inspired young idealists across Italy. Mazzini's vision extended beyond Italy. He believed in nation-states based on shared language and culture. In 1834, he founded the Young Europe movement in Switzerland. This aimed to coordinate revolutionary activities across Europe. Mazzini's ideas influenced nationalist movements and inspired future generations. The Romantic imagination, art, literature, and the nation. Romanticism, a powerful cultural movement, shaped nationalist sentiment in Europe. Artists, writers, and musicians emphasized emotion, intuition, and imagination. They celebrated unique cultural characteristics, folk traditions, and national identity. Romanticism provided a cultural foundation for nationalist movements. Literature and music fueled nationalism, creating a shared cultural heritage. Writers like Sir Walter Scott and the Brothers Grimm popularized folk tales, fostering national consciousness. Romantic poetry and music expressed national identity and cultural pride. Poets like Lord Byron and Victor Hugo stirred national imagination. Composers like Liszt and Chopin incorporated folk melodies, creating national musical styles. Romantic art, literature, and music provided a powerful foundation for nationalist movements. The Romantic imagination shaped the political landscape of 19th century Europe. The year 1848 witnessed a wave of revolutions that swept across Europe, shaking the foundations of the established order. From France to the German states, from Italy to the Austrian Empire, people rose up against their rulers, demanding greater political freedoms and national unity. The revolutions of 1848, while ultimately unsuccessful, marked a turning point in European history. They exposed the fragility of the conservative order and demonstrated the growing strength of nationalist and liberal movements. In France, the July monarchy was overthrown and a second republic was proclaimed. The revolution in France sparked uprisings across the continent. In the German states, liberals and nationalists convened the Frankfurt Parliament. In Italy, uprisings against Austrian rule erupted, fueled by the dream of unification. The revolutions of 1848, while ultimately suppressed, had a profound impact on European history. They served as a crucial catalyst for the eventual unification of Germany and Italy. The seeds of national unity sown by the revolutions of 1848 would eventually bear fruit. The unification of Germany, a long-cherished dream, was realized in 1871. Otto von Bismarck, the Prussian Prime Minister, orchestrated unification through wars and diplomacy. Bismarck, a master of realpolitik, used military force and political cunning. In 1866, Prussia defeated Austria, paving the way for Prussian leadership. Bismarck provoked the Franco-Prussian War, uniting German states against France. In January 1871, the German Empire was proclaimed at the Palace of Versailles. Germany's unification marked a turning point in European history. The unification of Italy, known as the Risorgimento, was a complex process that unfolded over several decades. Unlike Germany, Italy's path to nationhood involved popular uprisings, political maneuvering, and foreign intervention. the Risorgimento, saw the emergence of key figures, each playing a unique role in the struggle for unity. Giuseppe Mazzini inspired Italian patriots with his vision of a unified republic. Count Camillo Benso di Cavour, Prime Minister of Sardinia-Piedmont, was the architect of unification. Cavour recognized the need for foreign support to achieve independence from Austrian rule. He forged an alliance with France, securing military assistance in the war against Austria in 1859. Giuseppe Garibaldi played a decisive role in the final stages of unification. In 1860, Garibaldi led his 1,000 red shirts, capturing Sicily and Naples. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was proclaimed King of Italy, marking the culmination of the Risorgimento. The formation of Great Britain stands in stark contrast to the unification processes of Germany and Italy. While those nations were forged through war and revolution, Britain's path to nationhood was a more gradual and complex process of integration and assimilation. The absence of a single defining moment of unification makes the British case a unique and intriguing study in nation building. The British national identity emerged over centuries, shaped by a complex interplay of political, economic, social, and cultural factors. The Act of Union in 1707, which formally united the kingdoms of England and Scotland, marked a significant step in the formation of Great Britain. However, the process of integration was far from complete. Scotland, while politically united with England, retained its distinct legal system, educational institutions, and cultural traditions. The relationship between England and Scotland, while often fraught with tension, gradually evolved into a partnership based on shared interests and mutual respect. The incorporation of Ireland into the United Kingdom in 1801 further complicated the British national identity. Ireland, with its distinct language, culture, and history, resisted assimilation into the British mainstream. The relationship between Britain and Ireland was marked by conflict and resentment, culminating in the Irish War of Independence in the early 20th century. The Irish experience highlights the challenges and complexities of forging a national identity in a multi-ethnic and multicultural context. The British case demonstrates that nation building is not always a linear or straightforward process. The British national identity, forged through centuries of integration, assimilation, and occasional conflict, is a testament to the enduring power of shared history, culture, and political institutions. The British experience provides a valuable counterpoint to the more dramatic and revolutionary narratives of nation building in Germany and Italy, highlighting the diverse paths to nationhood in 19th century Europe. As the 19th century ended, nationalism transformed into imperialism. The focus shifted to extending power beyond Europe. Driven by greed and superiority, European powers pursued colonies. The scramble for Africa exemplified this shift. Africa was divided with little regard for existing boundaries. Nationalism now justified subjugation and exploitation. Social Darwinism provided a justification for dominance. The shift from nationalism to imperialism marked a turning point. The rise of nationalism in 19th century Europe was a powerful force for unification and progress, but intense national rivalries and imperial ambitions created fear and suspicion. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 ignited the First World War. Nationalism, once a source of unity, became a destructive force. The war's devastating consequences exposed the dark side of nationalism. The map of Europe was redrawn, reflecting the enduring force of national aspirations. Nationalism drove both progress and destruction.